It began in a quiet bedroom, where a 15-year-old boy sat in front of an old computer, its screen lighting up the darkness like a secret doorway. While his parents slept in the next room, he wasn't doing homework or gaming. He was probing digital walls built by some of the smartest engineers on the planet. Each click, each command, each silent attempt brought him closer to a boundary no kid should have been anywhere near. And then it happened. A tiny gap in NASA's defenses opened, and he slipped through without triggering a single alarm. In that moment, a teenager, barely old enough to understand the consequences, was staring at systems designed to control and protect space technology worth billions. NASA had no idea someone was already inside, digging through pathways they believed were unbreakable. For the agency, the breach would soon erupt into a national crisis. But for the boy sitting in that dark room, it was just another night of curiosity, one that would transform him from an anonymous kid into the most infamous teenage hacker in American history. The moment Jonathan slipped into NASA's internal network, the agency had no clue a teenager was quietly navigating their systems. NASA's operations were built on the belief that their data was shielded behind federal-grade firewalls and secure gateways. But while the engineers were confident in their defenses, one teenager proved that confidence was misplaced. When NASA's cybersecurity team eventually detected irregular activity, strange logins, unusual data flow, systems behaving oddly, panic spread quickly. They couldn't identify the source, couldn't trace the connection properly, and couldn't understand how someone had bypassed layers of protection that were supposed to be impenetrable. The agency was forced to shut down large segments of its computer infrastructure for nearly 3 weeks, costing tens of thousands of dollars. Engineers scrambled to diagnose the breach, retrace the path the intruder used, and determine what sensitive information had been accessed. For a few tense weeks, some of the smartest engineers on the planet weren't fighting a foreign intelligence agency. They were trying to understand how a 15-year-old kid had slipped right past them and viewed parts of NASA that no civilian, especially a minor, should ever have seen. Jonathan wasn't some criminal mastermind. He wasn't trying to attack NASA or make money from secret data. His reason was much simpler: curiosity. Gifted teenagers often act without fully understanding the size of the risks they're stepping into. To him, the world looked like one big puzzle, and NASA was the hardest level, an institution that represented the height of human engineering. Getting inside it, not to damage anything but to learn, felt like proving he could compete with the best minds out there. He wasn't chasing chaos. He was chasing skill, confidence, and the excitement of testing limits. But that kind of curiosity comes with a danger most teenagers never think about. They don't realize how seriously governments treat anything that touches national security. Jonathan thought he was just exploring, but from NASA's point of view, it looked like a hostile intrusion, something that could easily be the first step of espionage. His intentions and the agency's interpretation were worlds apart. He was trying to challenge himself. NASA believed a trained attacker was targeting their systems. He didn't show off, didn't post online, didn't try to sell anything. He simply observed, learned, and experimented. But even harmless intentions can spiral into huge consequences when they collide with institutions built to defend some of the most sensitive technology on Earth. Once NASA realized the intrusion was real, the investigation escalated quickly and violently. Federal agencies were pulled in, including the Department of Defense and the FBI. To them, this wasn't a small incident. It was a potential national security breach involving confidential space system information. Agents weren't thinking about a teenager. They were thinking about hostile foreign actors. A team of cyber experts began combing through digital footprints, tracking the attack back through servers, logs, and timestamps. They spent weeks tracing every movement until the trail led shockingly to a suburban home. When federal agents finally raided the house, guns drawn and warrants ready, Jonathan's parents watched in disbelief as officers seized computers and anything electronic. The government had mobilized federal-level power not against a trained espionage network, but against a 15-year-old boy fascinated with computers. The FBI interrogation was intense and unforgiving. They treated him like a serious threat because, in their eyes, his actions had demonstrated capabilities that could cripple high-security systems.